If you are new to RVing and you shudder at the thought of dump day, I've got some helpful hints for you to conquer this camping rite of passage, and it's actually easier than you think. So let's start by talking about the different types of holding tanks. First, most RVs come with a black tank and a gray tank. Some of these bigger rigs will have multiple black and gray tanks, and then some rigs might have a combo black and gray tank. So the gray tank is the one that is collecting the contents from your sinks, the showers, the washing machine, the dishwasher, all that soapy water. And then the black tank is the one collecting the contents from the toilets. So let's talk about where you camp and how you decide where to make your reservations. Some RVers opt to have campsites with their own dedicated sewer drain line. They want sewer utilities there so they can dump the contents of black and gray at will throughout their stay. There are other campgrounds that only have a dump station, and that is one place where everybody lines up, typically on the day they're leaving the park, to offload the contents of their black and gray tanks. So plan accordingly. Now let's talk about some accessories that you need to maintain and operate your tank successfully. This sewer hose, I want you guys to think about replacing this at least once a year because it can get dry and cracked, and if it springs a leak, it is not at a good time. You're also going to want some disposable gloves. I think it's a must. This attachment here, this elbow attachment, there's a clear one at the RV here, and there's an opaque one down there at the sewer drain. You can get clear or opaque. Lots of RVers love to have the clear, and I'll tell you why during the steps in a moment. But that elbow helps to relieve the pressure on the end of the hose. You might want this sidewinder accessory this person has, and that's in case gravity is working against you, taking the contents downhill to the sewer drain line. And then on that end at the sewer drain, you're going to have to probably use some type of adapter because all those sewer drain pipes vary in sizes. So if you have a donut or some type of adapter, just to make sure that you have a tight connection. That tight connection is so important because this thing can get away from you really easily.
Oh, I gotta go.
Oh, dude.
So let's talk about that age-old question everybody wants to know. Do I leave the tank valves opened or closed? To maintain your tanks properly, they've got to have liquid in there. We don't want them to dry out, especially that black tank. If you do, toilet paper and solids will dry out in there and cause a big clog, and that's a huge mess and expensive to clean up. On that note, keep the black tank valve closed until dump day. Now, some RVers will go ahead and leave the gray tank valve open so that they can take showers and do dishes, you know, as long as they want and not fill that gray tank up so quickly and have to dump it so often. However, one of my tank cleaning specialist friends said she recommends keeping both of them closed because that gray tank can get just as smelly and dried out. You'll just have to dump it more often. So let's talk about the steps on dump day. Number one, you're going to connect the sewer hose at both the RV and at the drain pipe or at the dump station. Make sure those connections on that bayonet are super tight because once you open the valve, that water is going to come rushing out with some surprising force and you will hear it, so don't be surprised. Next, and like I said, you might like this elbow attachment. That clear elbow will let you know when the contents are done from whichever tank you're dumping. First, I open the black tank valve and let all those contents vacate into the sewer drain. Close that valve, and next I'll do the gray tank valve and allow that soapy water to clean out the sewer hose. Close that valve. If you are leaving for the day, you might disconnect your sewer hose and use the hose that's at the dump station to give it one more rinse out and then store that sewer hose away from all other things that you don't want it to contaminate. If you're staying a while, or if you have this option, you can do this at the dump station or at the campsite. If you have a black tank flush, that's the time to do it. Don't forget, do not walk away. If you turn on the black tank flush, don't walk away from it, especially if you have the termination valve closed, because that thing can overfill and cause a big mess. Set yourself a timer and pay attention to it. The last thing is maintain those tanks. You want them in good health, and that actually means bacteria, good bacteria is inside those. So I want water in there flowing about so it doesn't get dry, and then we also will treat it with some type of specific tank treatment for RVs. I prefer a probiotic. There's all kinds of products out there. I send several gallons of water back down the sink for the gray tank and the toilet. You can fill the toilet and flush it, fill it, flush it, fill it, flush it. Do that at least 3 times. Sometimes I just fill up jugs, old milk jugs of water, and pour them back down the toilet and the sink drain, and then put that probiotic tank cleaner down in both the black tank and the gray tank. It needs just as much attention. So I hope these tips were helpful, and we'll see you next week.